Vacancy Light. I used to manage a roadside motel just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and most nights were quiet. Too quiet, actually. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own breathing. The place was called the Red Pines Motor Lodge, even though there wasn't a single pine tree in sight. Just a cracked sign, 12 rooms, and a soda machine that coughed more than it worked. I handled everything: check-ins, cleaning, repairs, and night security. The motel sat on a long stretch of Route 89, where travelers only stopped because they had no better option. By midnight, the world outside disappeared into a sea of black. You could stand by the office window and see nothing but the buzzing neon vacancy sign, flickering like a dying firefly. I'd been there 3 years without incident, but one night last winter changed everything. The man in room 7. It was early February, cold enough that the pipes froze if you didn't keep the taps dripping. Around 10:45 p.m., a man walked in, mid-40s, tall, gaunt, wearing a faded denim jacket and holding a single duffel bag. He didn't say much, just asked for one night, cash only. His ID said E. Monroe, but something about the way he hesitated when I checked it didn't sit right. Still, I'd seen my share of weird travelers, truckers, drifters, even a few fugitives pretending to be salesmen, so I shrugged it off. He took room 7, end of the row, farthest from the office, paid in crumpled bills and refused the receipt. When I handed him the key, his fingers brushed mine. They were ice cold. Around 1 a.m., I went to do my routine check. The parking lot was empty except for his rusted Chevy parked crooked in front of room 7. But the thing that caught my eye was the light inside his room. It wasn't steady. It flickered like candlelight. We didn't allow open flames, so I knocked gently. No answer. Knocked again, harder. Still nothing. I crouched to look through the curtain gap. The room looked off. The furniture was wrong. The bed and dresser had been dragged away from the walls, and in the center of the floor was something circular, drawn in chalk or salt. I couldn't tell from that angle. When I blinked, the light inside went out. The whisper through the vent. I told myself not to overreact. People do weird stuff. Maybe he was spiritual, superstitious, hell, maybe just bored. At 2:30 a.m., I was back in the office when I heard something faint through the vent behind the front desk. The vents connected all the way through to the laundry room and down the hall that led toward room 7. At first, it was just static. Then, a voice, whispering. I froze. It wasn't a TV. I'd checked earlier, and most of them barely worked. It was a low murmur, rhythmic, like someone chanting in another language. Then, a phrase broke through, in English this time. You shouldn't have watched. I nearly dropped the flashlight. I waited another minute, but the whispering stopped. I did a full round again. The parking lot, hallway, back entrance, nothing. When I reached room 7, the lights were off completely. I leaned closer to the door, and that's when I realized something else. The door wasn't fully shut. Inside room 7, I pushed it open slowly. The smell hit first, a sour metallic odor like wet pennies and spoiled meat. The room looked exactly as I'd seen through the window, except now I could make out details. The circle was made of salt, surrounded by dark stains, some dried, some fresh. On the bed lay a folded motel blanket, a set of old Polaroid photos, and a small handheld tape recorder. The photos were all of the same thing, the motel, from different angles and decades. The sign looked newer in some, the paint not yet faded. But in each one, no matter the year, there was a figure standing in front of room 7. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther, but always there. And it was him, E. Monroe. The same denim jacket, the same dead-eyed stare. I picked up the tape recorder, my hands shaking. It clicked on automatically, no play button pressed. The voice that came through wasn't his, it was mine. He's still here. I don't know how long I've been seeing him, but he never checks out. Don't let him stay in room 7. I dropped it. The door slammed shut behind me. The knock. I don't remember leaving the room, but somehow I ended up sprinting back to the office. Locked the door. Sat there until sunrise. At 6:10 a.m., there was a knock on the office door. I nearly screamed. Through the glass, I saw the cleaning lady, Rosa, holding her keys. I let her in and told her, shakily, that room 7 needed to be closed for maintenance. She just nodded, said she'd take care of it. Around noon, she came back, pale as paper. "Senor," she whispered, "there is no room 7. I laughed, or tried to. Thought she was confused. But when I walked out there with her, I counted. Room 6, then room 8. The concrete wall between them looked untouched. Same paint, same numbering pattern. No seam, no door frame. I went back to the office and checked the key rack. The tag for room 7 was gone. The last guest, that was a year ago. I quit a week later and moved back to Phoenix. Tried to forget about it. But sometimes I'll drive past that stretch of highway on my way north. Every time, the neon sign still flickers in the dark. Vacancy glowing red like an open wound. And sometimes, if I slow down just enough, I see the outline of the motel still there. 12 rooms, and a 13th shadow standing at the end of the row. Even now, some nights, I wake up thinking I hear that whisper through the vents again. You shouldn't have watched. And every instinct in me knows I didn't just see something in row. It's been 14 months since I left the Red Pines Motor Lodge. I don't tell people what really happened that night. When coworkers ask why I left, I just say bad management. That lie's easier to live with than the truth. I rent a 1-bedroom apartment now, 4th floor, facing a busy street. It's noisy enough that the chaos outside drowns out the silence inside. Something I used to find comforting. But lately, I've realized I wasn't trying to escape silence. I was trying to escape the quiet between sounds. That's when I first started hearing it again. The sound behind the wall. It began 3 weeks ago. I was falling asleep when I heard what I thought was the neighbor's TV. Low static, faint mumbling. I remember thinking, of course they pick midnight to watch a movie. Except it wasn't coming from the next apartment. It was coming from inside the wall behind my bed. It wasn't music or dialogue either. It was breathing. Slow, heavy, wet sounding. When I pressed my ear to the plaster, it stopped. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I told the building superintendent about it. He laughed, said it was probably the pipes or a rat's nest. Old buildings breathe too, he said. I wanted to believe him. I really did. The tape. 2 days later, a small padded envelope showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a cassette tape. No label, no markings. Just a strip of masking tape with "Play Me" written in pen. I don't even own a cassette player anymore, but curiosity, or stupidity, got the better of me. I found an old pawn shop near downtown, bought a dusty portable player for $10, and went home. When I pressed play, I expected noise. Instead, I heard my own voice. If you're hearing this, he found you too. Then, silence. Then that whisper, the same one from the motel vents, crawling out of the speaker like smoke. You shouldn't have watched. I ripped the batteries out and threw the whole thing in the dumpster. That night, the whisper came again. This time not through the wall, but from inside the room. The reflection. By the end of the week, I'd convinced myself I was losing it. Sleep deprivation, guilt, maybe a touch of paranoia. So I started recording myself at night, audio only, just to prove nothing was there. The first 2 nights were normal. Random creaks, street noise, nothing else. But on the 3rd night, around 3:11 a.m., there was a faint knock. Then the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, moving from one corner of the room to the other. And at the very end of the tape, a whisper, "Room 7. That's when I noticed something new. The red standby light on my phone charger, it flickered. Once, twice, then glowed steady red, just like the vacancy sign. The next morning, I found a single line of salt across my bedroom threshold. I don't own salt. The neighbor. A few days later, a woman moved into the apartment next door. Mid-30s, quiet, polite. Her name was Dana. She knocked one night to borrow duct tape, and for the first time in months, I actually felt okay. We talked a while in the doorway. She mentioned how thin the walls were, how she could hear someone talking at night through hers. I froze. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Like whispering," she said. Low, male voice, keeps repeating the same phrase. Sounds like he's right in the wall. I lied, told her I hadn't heard anything. She smiled awkwardly, thanked me for the tape, and went back to her place. That night, I heard it again. Only this time, it wasn't a whisper. It was laughter. The next morning, I went to check on Dana, knocked several times, no answer. A week later, her door was wide open, and the landlord was cleaning the place out. I asked what happened. He frowned. She left in the middle of the night. Didn't even grab her thing. The door that shouldn't be there. Last night was the worst. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to a sound I hadn't heard since Arizona. The static hum through the vent. But my apartment doesn't have vents. The noise was coming from the wall behind my couch. The air felt thick, charged, like the moment before a thunderstorm. Then, under the faint red glow of my alarm clock, I saw it. A door frame forming in the paint. Not carved, not drawn, appearing. Perfectly shaped, edges crisp, like someone was sketching it from the other side of the wall. I couldn't move, couldn't look away. The light flickered once, and for just a split second, I saw the brass number 7 glint on the door. Then it was gone. The wall was blank again. I packed a bag and left before sunrise. The motel that isn't there. This morning, I tried to find the Red Pines Motor Lodge again. I thought maybe if I went back, if I faced whatever that was, I could end it. But when I got to Route 89, there was nothing. Just sand, rocks, and a new billboard advertising a truck stop. I pulled over, checked my phone's GPS, even compared coordinates from the old property listing online. The motel was gone, completely erased. But when I turned to leave, I noticed something in the dirt near the road. Half-buried, sun-bleached plastic. It was a key tag. Room 7. A vacancy light. I'm staying in a motel tonight. Different place, different town. The manager gave me room 3, but when I turned the key in the lock, the tag snapped off in my hand. Now, as I write this, the TV keeps flickering between channels by itself. The static hums at a frequency I know too well. I should leave, but something tells me it won't matter. Wherever I go, it follows. Maybe Monroe wasn't a person at all. Maybe he was just the first vacancy. I think that's what the whisper means. You shouldn't have watched, because once you've seen Room 7, you become it. The last check-in. I didn't mean to go back. I swore I never would. But when you start seeing the number 7 everywhere, elevator panels, receipts, apartment doors, even scratched into your bathroom mirror, you realize there's no real leaving. Not when the thing that's following you doesn't live anywhere you can find on a map. I lasted 5 more months before I gave in. The message. It started again with the tape. The same kind of envelope, no return address. But this time, there was no cassette inside, just a piece of yellowed motel stationery. At the top, printed in faded red ink, Red Pines Motor Lodge, we hope you enjoy your stay. Below that, in shaky handwriting, was a message, checkout time is over. There was also a set of coordinates written at the bottom. I typed them into my phone. It led to a spot just off Route 89, but according to every map and satellite image, there was nothing there, just desert. Still, I packed a flashlight, extra batteries, and the key tag I'd found in the dirt months ago. If this was how it ended, I wanted to see it for myself. The empty road. The highway was silent that night. No cars, no wind, no movement at all. Just miles of black stretching into forever. When I reached the coordinates, the air changed. The temperature dropped, and then, faint but unmistakable, I saw it. A red glow ahead, flickering in the dark like a dying heartbeat. The sign, Vacancy, except it wasn't a building. The glow was just floating there in the desert, suspended in midair. When I got closer, I realized it wasn't light at all. It was reflection, like I was looking through a window into a different night. And in that reflection, the motel stood. Cracked sign, row of rooms, and at the end, room 7. The key tag in my hand burned cold. The lobby. I stepped forward, and the world folded around me. Suddenly, I was standing inside the lobby again. Same peeling wallpaper, same old cash register. The smell of bleach and mold thick in the air. The vacancy sign hummed faintly outside the window, just like before. But this time, there was someone behind the counter. He looked up slowly when I approached. Pale, hollow-eyed, wearing a denim jacket. E. Monroe, or something wearing his face. "You came back," he said. His voice sounded like two overlapping tapes playing slightly out of sync. "I didn't have a choice," I said. "None of us do," he whispered. "You let the room in. It remembers." He gestured toward the hallway. Room 7's door was open, waiting. Inside again, I told myself this was just closure. That if I walked inside, faced it, maybe it would end. The room was exactly as I remembered. The salt circle, the Polaroids, the faint buzzing light above. But now, there was something new. A mirror leaning against the far wall. My reflection looked wrong. Too still, too patient. "You understand now," Monroe's voice said behind me. "Understand what?" "That the motel isn't a place. It's a wound. Every time someone sees it, it opens again. And we're what bleeds out." I turned around, but he was gone. The door had vanished. The walls began to hum, vibrating with static. The vacancy sign outside flared red, filling the room with a heartbeat of light. And from the mirror, my reflection smiled. "Check-in complete," it said. Then it stepped forward, out of the mirror. A choice. I don't remember much after that. Just flashes, the salt scattering beneath my feet, the Polaroids burning, the tape recorder hissing to life on the dresser. My own voice screaming through the static. "Don't let him stay in room 7. I grabbed the recorder and smashed it against the mirror. The glass shattered, light pouring out like fire. I ran, through walls that shouldn't exist, through halls that twisted and looped back on themselves. When I finally stumbled outside, the motel was gone again, just the desert, just silence. In my hand, the key tag had melted into a puddle of metal. The last vacancy, that was 3 nights ago. I woke up on the side of the highway with no car, no bag, just dirt under my nails and the faint smell of salt in the air. I'm writing this from a diner in Flagstaff. My hands won't stop shaking. I haven't slept since that night because every time I close my eyes, I see that mirror version of me, still inside that room, staring back, waiting. Sometimes in reflections, elevator doors, windows, bathroom sinks. I swear I catch it moving just a second too late. And this morning, when I opened my motel room door, different place, different town, there was a slip of paper on the floor. Red Pines Motor Lodge, thank you for staying. On the back, in my handwriting, you're the manager now. The vacancy sign outside just flickered on.